Good evening. So it's time for the press preview. It's our first look at what is on the front pages of tomorrow's papers. And we're checking out the headlines tonight with The Sun's chief political correspondent, Jack Elsom, and The Guardian's deputy political editor, Jessica Elgot. They'll be here with us from now until just before midnight. Very good evening. Nice to see you. Lots to discuss. Let's take a look at some of the front pages then, starting with the Metro pouring scorn on Donald Trump's claim that his tariff scheme is medicine for the world's economy after markets were spooked by a false claim that he'd be pausing it. Here's tomorrow's FT, leading with Mr Trump's threat to impose an additional 50% tariff on China if they don't stop retaliating against the US. Same story, in fact, on the front of tomorrow's Guardian. While the Telegraph leads on Donald Trump urging Americans not to panic despite trillions of dollars being wiped from global markets. Here's the Eye, their headline, billions wiped off pensions amid worldwide stock market turmoil. And the Star's graphic artists have been working overtime, suggesting Donald Trump is the heir apparent to Liz Truss in being the next political lettuce. While the Mail leads on the story that a baby girl has become the first child in the UK to be born from a womb transplant. Same on the front of the Mirror with the headline, Gift of Life. And Express calls it a medical breakthrough that gives hope to thousands. And finally, The Sun leads on an alleged assault on Manchester City midfielder Jack Grealish. And we're joined tonight by Jack Elsom and Jessica Elgot. So much to discuss. Interesting, different stories on the front pages. We've all been rather consumed by tariffs today, haven't we? But different editors having slightly different thoughts. Let's start with The Guardian then, and Trump threatening extra 50% tariff on China as panic grips markets. I mean, if they get an extra 50%, it's going to take them over 100% tariffs, which is sort of crazy, isn't it? Unbelievable.
What a rollercoaster of a day it's been. I mean, you start off with this sort of plunging on Wall Street. Then there's this kind of spark of, is he actually going to recall this is going to be a 90-day pause? That's traced back to some fake tweet by a guy who just seems to be a kind of meme account on X. And then it plunges again. You've got Wall Street executives saying, you know, begging the president to call it off, plenty of people who backed him in the election. And then him now with this other further threat, you know, going even further on China, saying unless they end their retaliatory tariffs, then he's going to up it by another 50%.
Interesting scene in front of the Metro. The Metro always comes up with a good headline, I feel. Trump's medicine helps the world's economy go down. Just tell us about what he said when it comes to medicine.
Well, he's saying that this is a medicine, essentially, the world economy has to swallow, and that no matter how difficult it is at the moment to actually get that medicine down, in the long run, he thinks everyone will be wealthier as a result. I think this is the problem which many countries are now grappling with, is that Trump seems completely nonplussed by the intense, violent reaction of stock markets around the world. Essentially, traders betting on the fact that businesses are going to be hurt immensely by this. And many people, I think, when he first announced it, saw it as a bit of an opening gambit and that countries would come to him, negotiate or retaliate from a position of strength, and then he would back down. He doesn't seem to be backing down at all with this. And the prospect now of an all-out trade war between the two biggest economies in the US and China could have an absolute seismic impact on the global economy, more than we were already facing when Trump announced these tariffs last Wednesday. We can now be in an all-out trade war between the two titans of the world economy, and it seems it's going to be incredibly difficult for other countries to navigate now. Yeah, and we're seeing some countries, well, like China, you know, fighting back, and Canada as well. We're taking a more softly approach, aren't we? Albeit, you know, our tariffs are right at the bottom of the scale. Is that the right decision, do you think, by Keir Starmer?
I mean, I think it's, you know, if you see the reaction that Trump's made when China and others have reacted, then it seems for now to kind of try to keep quite a calm, conciliatory approach is the right one. And I think there are particularly hopes in Downing Street that there will be this economic prosperity deal, as they call it, that is kind of ready. It's apparently sort of waiting on Trump's desk for a signature. He doesn't seem in the mood to sign stuff like that, which at the moment that will dilute the effects of of his tariffs, and he's, there's a lot of world leaders begging for his attention right now.
Well, it was interesting today, wasn't it, seeing Netanyahu in the White House, and they were having that discussion in front of reporters, and there was no sort of clarity there, was there? On the one hand, Netanyahu was saying, we'll do trade with America, and 0% tariffs where we're coming from, in the hope maybe that we were going to hear from Trump saying, yes, we've come up with a deal. But he wasn't actually having any of it, was he?
No, not at all. And you think about Keir Starmer, he's been falling over himself since he got into office to ingratiate himself with Donald Trump. Even before Donald Trump had won the election, obviously he had that meeting in New York and then was very quick out to the White House last month. But it didn't really spare us more than anybody else. We obviously had the lowest rate, 10% tariff, but so did Brazil, so did other countries which had put nowhere near as much legwork in with the new US administration. I do think, as Jess said, the view in Downing Street is that we are best placed to get some sort of deal with the Americans. Johnny Reynolds, the business secretary last week, said that the deal is actually sitting on Donald Trump's desk and all we need is for him to sign it. And I do think us being outside of the European Union, I think in the view of Downing Street, does make us more nimble, more agile, and be able to secure some sort of deal with the president.
Also a bit more exposed in many ways sometimes because we...
And it's definitely a trade-off, and it's a double-edged sword. But I think that the problem is he's just so erratic, isn't he? And no one can really read his mind from one day to the other. I mean, you saw it today. Some people thought that he could have suddenly changed his mind and we could have had a 90-day reprieve, and then stock markets rose, and then it found out that actually that wasn't going to be the case. And so I think that trying to read Donald Trump's mind is really going to be the challenge for markets across the world.
Yeah, and if we bring in the front of the FT, you can just see from that picture there, a trader sort of running. You can see the markets tumbling. The markets hate uncertainty, and at the moment there is no uncertainty, and things change hour by hour.
Yeah, and of course, actually, Donald Trump has been telling this for months, if not a year, that he's going to do this. He kept calling tariff the most beautiful word in the English language. He has been saying repeatedly that he is going to do this scale of tariffs. And no one has quite believed him because they know the economic destruction that this kind of thing can wreak. And you've even got quite high-profile investors, Wall Street executives, saying that today, effectively. Bill Ackman, I think, is one of the sort of biggest, most high-profile Trump supporters who's a major investor, was saying today that he had thought that economics realities would sort of win out when it came to persuading Trump not to do something like this, and they haven't. And I think there's a few people who have been his quite big backers who are surprised that he's gone this far.
The possibility of an economic nuclear war, Bill Ackman today. Let's look at the front of the Telegraph. Are you a panicking, Jack?
I'm not. In fact, you know what? I only discovered this word when I looked at the front page of the Telegraph about 15 minutes ago. But a panicking, essentially, is, I think, a Republican, people within his party, who are panicking at the stock market reaction and massive downturn. He is saying, in the sort of same way as Jack Jones in Dad's Army, don't panic, Mr. Mannering. It's very much everything will be fine. Take the medicine. It will be better in the end, and make America wealthier, protect American jobs, livelihoods, all the rest of it. I think what's interesting though is that Donald Trump seems completely unanswerable to anyone. It's not like Liz Truss in the UK, where when the markets reacted incredibly violently against her mini budget, Tory MPs stepped in to get rid of her. There is no one that can get rid of Donald Trump. He's not going to fight another election, so he doesn't really have to worry about American voters' reaction to this. He doesn't have to worry about anyone in his party because he's captured that party completely. He's shaped it in his image. Almost all of them are loyal to him. He has, obviously, the executive branch and the White House. Both houses of Congress are Republican. And so he doesn't really have to answer to anyone. And if some people don't like it, there's no opposition because the Democrats seem to be a shell of their former selves. So it's incredibly difficult for anyone to actually voice criticism.
Yeah, and talking of Liz Truss, the lettuce is back. Jessica, talk us through the front of the Daily Star. And
it says, is Trump the new lettuce? And actually the answer to that is no, because of exactly what Jack said, is that there is no sort of... he's got a much longer shelf life than Liz Truss had when she was, described as a lettuce, which... I think it was The Economist that first coined that term. It's because lettuce has roughly a shelf life of 10 days, and that was how long they thought Liz Truss had left in office. We know that's not the case for Donald Trump because there's not really anything that anyone can do to hold him to account for what he's doing, even if he causes great pain to the American people.
So we could see the Daily Star lettuce getting very mouldy.
Mouldy.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Great. All right. Thank you both very much for the moment. Coming up after the break, this is amazing. History is made with Britain's first womb transplant. Discussing that next. Don't go away.
What's it like doing this kind of stuff when he's not here?
Yeah, I miss him. He just inspired me to be a better person. He's shown us what living looks like in the toughest and most difficult of circumstances.
I'm Greg Milam and I'm Sky's Chief North of England Correspondent.
Mandatory evacuation, you must leave!
For many people, Harvey is far from over. People here believe the water will be this deep for weeks. I've reported from around the world and around the UK. It isn't what politicians see from election battle buses, but what ordinary people see from the buses that shape the timetable of their lives.
I feel like there's no trust between the people and the politicians.
Labour's going to get in definitely, and they're no better than the Conservatives.
It is almost impossible to predict where these fires will go next. Ida has certainly left its mark on New Orleans.
It just feels heartbreaking.
Cartels in Mexico are flooding America with the drug. We are standing on the supply line right into the heart of America's opioid crisis. This gives you an idea of the strength of those winds, strong enough to bend and twist metal. Sky News, the full story first. Christchurch has been changed forever by what happened here.
There was a river of blood coming out of the mosque. That's a scene that you don't forget.
Are you trying to run me over, Sir Philip?
No, go away.
Look like it, sir. Will you respond to those who made accusations, Sir Philip?
Can you go away?
A very good morning to you all. Morning.
Do you regret the tweet, Gary?
There's no sign, publicly at least, of either side being willing to give ground. Brianna's dad told Sky News what he thinks of them.
If I'm honest, I hate them. They're just evil. They'll always be monsters.
Free wherever you get your news. How do you reassure the public that all of these mistakes wouldn't be made again?
God forbid we should have to do this again.
We're going to do this 100 times every day for the next 3 months.
Why have we agreed to this?
Raises many questions about many things.
Actually seeing people impacted, she was so upset.
It was powerful. They kind of couldn't believe they were being berated here.
Very much on my terms, I think was the subtext. News happens fast around Donald Trump.
It was a kind of wow moment.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, doesn't it?
It's Trump world, and we just live in it.
So, where next?
Follow Trump 100 wherever you get your podcasts.
We've got your Sunday mornings covered. From the front page and the sounds of the streets to the voices of the people who make the major calls and big picture politics beyond Westminster. We'll put you at the heart of our story.
I'm ready. Are you?
Join me, Trevor Phillips, Sunday mornings on Sky News.
Sky News get the full story first.
Is this now all your territory?
Yeah.
The battlefield is outside the barricades. We are in the middle of a forest, in a jungle really, and they're attempting to keep these men alive. I'm Stuart Ramsey, and I'm Sky's chief correspondent.
It's really dangerous. Many people have died riding it.
Hello, welcome back. You're watching the press preview. With me in the studio still, Jack Elsom and Jessica Elgot. This is a remarkable story. I was only saying the other day, you know, there's so much miserable news around, isn't it, that sometimes we don't feel there's much to give us hope. But honestly, this story is quite remarkable. Jessica, I'll let you lead off on this. Front of the mirror, baby born after UK's first womb transplant.
Absolutely extraordinary. So this baby, which is called baby Amy, is the first child in history to be born from a transplanted womb. Her mother, Grace, had a womb donated from her sister. Her sister's also called Amy, so that was the baby's named after Amy. And she was born herself without a womb because of a rare genetic condition, and obviously therefore thought she would never be able to have children. But because of this successful transplant, the first in history in the UK, then she's been able to give birth to this baby. It's absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah, not surprisingly, a number of papers have decided to splash on it. The Daily Mail as well, baby born after womb transplant in UK first. And there's a great picture there, just a lovely picture there of mum and dad and the little baby grinning away. And it really is a miracle.
It's fantastic, and it's a great outcome for Grace Davison and her husband, Angus. And you're right, I think the reason many of the papers are deciding to go on this is because, like you said, we just have so much doom and gloom the whole time at the moment. It seems that you can't turn on the TV or open a newspaper without seeing something bad. And this is obviously a fantastic, heartwarming story. But also, just away from this itself, it does remind us that, I know it's sort of a trend the whole time to talk Britain down, and we're rubbish at this and we're rubbish at that, but actually we do have some of the finest minds in the entire world, and our scientists are just incredible. And the term, genuine scientific breakthrough is probably bandied around quite a lot, but this is definitely fitting of that. I mean, it is absolutely extraordinary, and fair play, I think, to the doctors that managed to pull this off. Yeah,
and I think there are other mums now who are going through the same process, which is fantastic, isn't it? Really good news. Now, what do you make of... I'm going to ask you, Jack, about this one, because you've got quite a strong opinion. This is in the Metro, page 3 of the Metro. Football games with no referees, and they're called Vibe Protectors. This is a group of female friends who've come up with a football team where nobody keeps score and games are played without referees.
I'm not sure how this has made a national newspaper, but two friends have had a brainwave and they've invented something where you can have a kickabout in the park, but there's no referees, and so you don't keep score, you just have a bit of fun, and it's called Gals FC. So there's people having a football in the park. I mean, it doesn't seem to have invented anything new here, from what I can tell, because when I was a kid, we used to get 4 sets of jumpers, make them into 2 goals, and have a kickabout on the green down in the Isle of Wight where I used to live, and no one used to keep score, and you sort of regulated yourself, so no one did 2-foot challenges, and if they did, then everyone else bundled in on them. It doesn't seem to, unless I'm missing something, doesn't seem to be anything major new in this, but apparently it's absolutely caught fire, and it's the next big thing in London, and I think shows that you can commercialise anything these days.
The difference is somebody have to pay subs.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, what do you make of it, Jessica? I mean, do you think, is it people becoming disillusioned with the game in its current form, do you think?
Well, I think, look, with cynicism aside, I think it is obviously very nice to kind of, for people to be able, who might not naturally feel they want to play competitive sport, to just come and have a run about, get some exercise, have an enjoyable time with their friends, and have a opportunity to do that where they might be thinking it would be really nice to go and have a kickabout with my friends at the park, but I don't really know how I would do that, how I'd set that up. And this obviously gives, it's kind of an avenue for people to, with a very unpressurised way of trying out a sport, and I think that's generally good. We know that we're a very deeply inactive population, and anything that can bring people towards doing a bit more sport, I think, is a great idea.
That's a good point, isn't it?
I'd love to know what the Vibe Protector actually protects. Like, when does the vibe go too mean?
Yeah.
Well, maybe, yeah. I know. I think referees obviously meant to keep score and make sure there's no bad play or foul play, whatever, but I don't know.
There's no vicious tackles.
Yeah, probably,
And let's finish the hour with this one in The Times. Who needs a husband? A pet will make you just as happy. I'm a bit nervous about this. Being married to a woman who adores Cocker Spaniels, like you would never believe, this is slightly making me nervous. But explain what this is all about, Jessica.
I don't have a pet, but I do have a husband, so I'll have to be quite careful about what I say. Well, it says the improvement in mood is as much as might be expected from a £70,000 pay rise. I'd be really interested in what your viewers think about that, whether they'd rather have their pet or £70,000. I suspect for a lot of pet lovers, they would actually rather have their pet. But if you don't have a pet, if someone offers you the chance of having a pet or £70,000, don't know.
Well, speaking as someone who is both single and does not have a pet, I think I would take the £70,000 for it. But it's a scientific piece of research which has been done by the University of Kent, which shows that, like Jess said, people who have pets are much happier than people that don't.
Yeah, they also found that people who had pets were on average more extroverted, conscientious and open, Jack, than those who don't have pets. How does that make you feel?
Well, I can believe that, although I don't know, because it does seem that I think that if you go on maybe long walks around the park with your pet, then maybe you're not meeting friends down the pub for a pint, but
play football without a referee.
Yeah, exactly.
Dog lovers tended... Sorry, Jessica.
Cat people more intellectual, apparently.
Well, I did have cats as a kid, so that might make sense.
Yeah, dog lovers tended to be more agreeable and emotionally stable. Cat people scored higher on intellectual curiosity. I think we should leave this here, don't you, before we get into trouble. Thank you both very much indeed. Good chatting to you. We will speak again in a few minutes' time. Right now, though, we're going to take a look at the weather.
A bright start and always a warm welcome. The weather, sponsored by Qatar Airways.
Well, it's looking mainly fine this week. That's the good news. Likely turning more unsettled over the weekend, though. There will be just a few changes in the east as the wind direction alters. There'll be a mostly fine but chilly start tomorrow with a fairly extensive frost or ground frost out of town. There'll be a few fog patches too, while some northeastern coasts will be rather grey and murky. Inland fog will burn off quite rapidly during the morning, leaving plenty of sunshine for most, but the Northern Isles look quite dull. It's going to be mainly warm again, with light winds closer to average near exposed eastern coasts. Those are your temperatures for noon on Tuesday. The afternoon will bring little change, although northern mainland Scotland will cloud over. Central and southeastern parts can expect some fair weather cloud too. Eastern Britain looks cloudier and cooler on Wednesday with coastal mist and perhaps a little drizzle in places. Western parts, meanwhile, will be mostly warm, dry and sunny. It's going to be breezy, though, in the south. On to Thursday, looking mostly sunny, a bit warmer as well, but the southeast will be quite cloudy.
A bright start and always a warm welcome. Qatar Airways sponsors the weather.